All right. Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a great day wherever you may be watching. Today, we're going to be talking about AI and project management. And I have with me today Darl Mesa. We're going to have basically a conversation around two main topics: the human side of AI, and then also a little bit about the ethical side of AI. So I'm going to let Darl go ahead and introduce himself, and then we'll get right into the conversation.
First off, thank you, Latina, for having me. As an introduction, give you three sentences. I'm a project manager as a freelancer, hopefully to grow my business, and I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Very awesome. So let's get into it. Let's talk about, the AI in project management is one of those things that really is still fairly new. The conversation around it, whether it's via conversations within companies or amongst fellow PMs, is all new, and it's like this bright shiny penny everybody's working with on some level. What are some of your thoughts about AI in relation to us as PMs utilizing it? Let's start there.
In my opinion, project managers are still on the fence to using AI. Discreetly, I think every project manager is probably using AI discreetly, but not mentioning it out, in a forum like this. Hopefully that will change, and hopefully project managers can understand that AI is here to stay.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What are some things, let me ask you, what are some practical things that you've used or utilized AI for? And this doesn't necessarily have to be project management. This may be just generally, what have you used it for?
Unbelievably, it's been part of my life since it opened to the public back in late in 2022 of November, I believe. And it's been really remarkable type of assistant to me personally and professionally. With personally, it's given me the abilities to at least understand my condition, which I have PTSD, and also having a son that's pre-diagnosed with autism. It made me understand the human behavior and gave me the ability to ask questions. Um, Maybe the right questions, but not getting the right answers, but teaching AI to give me what I need to know.
Okay. Okay. So let me ask you, just from a practical perspective, when we talk about what do you think about the future of AI? Do you think that, here's the thing that people say. Well, let's just get right into what the main thing people say about AI. It's going to take everybody's job. Like PMs are not going to be able I'm sorry, I'm laughing because I don't think that's true. No one's going to have a job. AI is going to take over everybody, and then we're just going to be out of work. Do you think that is true?
That is one of the misconceptions of how AI is slowly implementing itself or inserting itself in the project management space. I believe, and this is from my research and reading and interacting with the other folks outside of the project management space, is I believe universal basic income will somehow come into play in some way in the near future. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
not this year, but in the near future. And when that happens, I believe the tedious work as a project manager will probably go away. So your project admins, your project coordinators at the entry level will probably go away and get automated. Your program or project, maybe even your portfolio side will probably go away in that sense of admin side.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that if you think about some of the administrative tasks that a PM does, a lot of things like right now, practically, you could automate with AI, whether it be ChatGPT or utilizing some of the apps that are within some of the softwares that we use, like Zoom and others, that actually can make your life more efficient. So it's like that's just one piece of it. You still need the human interaction of having the meeting, talking to your stakeholders, talking through risks and helping
Hmm.
talking through risks. Then maybe what you do after that point is once you've identified risks, maybe AI can assist you in coming up with ways to mitigate risks. So things like that. So I hear you when you say that some of those automations, some of those things that we're now doing manually will absolutely become more automated. But you still need, I think the point we're making here is that you still need the person in the role in the space. So what do you recommend with regards to those of us that are maybe new PMs or even seasoned? What do you recommend we do to find out or to acclimate ourselves to this whole new world? What are some things we can do?
My suggestion is to use AI as a tool, not as something you need to depend on. Using it as a tool, you're able to still focus and master your craft as a project manager. Because in my opinion, one of my mentors told me that project management is like an art. You have to craft your art. So if you were to take AI and depend on AI, you're not mastering your art in project management and you're losing the thinking of it all.
Mm. I love that. That you are absolutely correct. I totally agree with that statement that your mentor gave you. That is true. Project management is an art. It's not the same for every person that gets involved in it.
Yes.
We have a certification and we have like these parameters, but those parameters don't look the same for everybody. So that is so true. Yeah. Yeah. And so is there a resource that you go to, whether it be an online resource like a person on YouTube or a publication that's related to AI that you look to?
As far as AI influencers or
AI influencers or just AI, where do you like what's a good source of information about AI? And I guess the business side of AI even.
they're they're slowly coming out. PMI has been advertising that in their webinars the past couple of months. Um, I don't know on top of my head on the project management side, but outside of that of our project management space, I follow influencers like Dave Shapiro. He's into the ACE framework or the cognitive side of AI. The World of AI also is another YouTube channel. Matt Wolf is also a YouTube influencer, a thought leader in AI who always gives updates.
Yeah.
So a lot of individuals have been taking advantage and getting on that bandwagon
Mm.
towards AI.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, there's one that you mentioned I'm going to be looking into myself, and I'll share. Like I said, I told the audience here on LinkedIn, and I'll be sharing the love. So if I learn something new, I'll put at least a link out for people to grab it. I am starting to look for those webinars for PMI because I already need to take those courses to get my PDUs, right? So I'm looking
Mhm.
specifically for where PMI is talking about AI and wanting to hear more about what they're talking about. So I'll be sharing that out too. Okay. So let's get into the second piece of this conversation, the ethical side of AI. What are your thoughts on how we as PMs can, if we're going to use AI on any level, how we can make sure that we are safe in using it ethically?
Ethically, to start, we need to practice saying that we're using AI. So
Mm.
towards a presentation, like if you provide a project status towards a schedule or even a risk of meeting, if you have the confidence to say, look, I use AI to produce these slides or these presentations or have AI assist me to help with the data. I think if we start there as project managers, I think we're going to be in a good start.
Mm. Very good point. Yeah. Yeah, very good point. I think there is a lot of stigma behind just saying that. Um, Now, for the one of the things I'll say, and I'll piggyback off of what you said, I think it's super important those who, whatever level, whatever company that you're working for, that you are super aware of what your company's AI policy is. There are likely some things you're already using that are AI related, like some of the software you're using to have your meetings and things like that. But if there is a policy, or just go seek it out, just go ask the question so that you know what it is that you're able to do. I know for some individuals who work as a quote unquote W-2 employee, that's one thing they need to be aware of. Those of us that are working as freelancers, we have another set of while we're not working under the auspices of a company, we still need to be aware of our client policies around it. And like you said, be willing to say, I'm using
Right.
this in order to produce this. And then also with AI, and I think I had another conversation with someone else about this previously, anything that comes out of AI needs to be reviewed by someone.
Correct.
It's not something that that you would take at face value. There's nothing that I've ever produced out of AI that I said, oh, print, send. No.
But we
there's
do
my
have that habit to do so.
yeah, yeah,
We do have that habit. And I'm one of those people that actually, ask the question to ChatGPT and automatically paste it into email. And that's human. That's the
yeah,
human in me, you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
because we all want convenience, you know, whether we
correct.
like it or not, whether we want to
Yeah.
hear it or not, we all want convenience.
You bring up a good point because yeah, you're right. You're absolutely correct because I'm thinking when you say that, it made me think, what have I done? So if I'm asking it a question for information, then absolutely I'm going to take that and say, okay, let me go use that. Um, if I'm taking it if I'm looking to maybe reword something or get the wording for something, that I may not take completely at face value because I'll read something and say, no, that's really not what I wanted. So I may redirect it,
Mhm.
or I may take it and say, okay, that's a great start. That gets my mind flowing. Let me go in and continue. So you're absolutely right. It is human nature to do that, but we just have to look at what makes sense for what we're
Right.
using the tools for. Again, it's a tool that we use. So, okay. All right.
And what I'm
So,
concerned about, and maybe you are may also be concerned about, is the new up and coming project managers. They would misuse this tool.
yes. Yes. So everything has to align with the objectives of what you're doing, the objectives of your project. And it has
Right.
to be truthful for the project that you're working in. Um, and it's kind of like garbage in, garbage out. It's like with the whole computer age, when that started to blow up, it was like what you put in it was what you get out of it. I think AI is can be that thing as well. You still need the skill, the art, the mastery of being a PM to know what to ask.
Right. Right.
So yeah, so you don't want to shirk that uh the experience and the skill and think that AI is going to replace that because it won't. At least not successfully for
Right.
long.
Right. So, what are your thoughts of, say, in a scenario, you are working with a junior project manager or project coordinator, and you are asked to give a presentation about the project status of uh, a product,
Mhm.
and you task it down to your project coordinator, and then that project coordinator provides you a presentation. What are your thoughts of fact checking it, and would you be biased about it?
Would I be biased about it because it came from a junior project manager?
And possibly it could be produced by ChatGPT.
Actually, I wouldn't, to be quite honest, because I'm before if I'm asking someone to do that for me for the purposes of presenting, I'm going to review it. And I, as the PM, senior PM or whatever role I'm playing in that environment, I should know my project enough that if I read a status summary to be able to suss out what should be there and what should not be there, right? So no, to your question, I would not be biased against it. but I absolutely would review it to ensure that I understand what's in there. Talk to my junior PM and make sure that we're in agreement on what's there, and then move forward from there. Yeah, no, I'm absolutely not going to shun the tool, because the tool is actually creating an efficiency that I would
Hmm.
want people around me to to utilize. Particularly if I'm asking them or delegating tasks to get done, I wouldn't want them to take, the long way around the mountain, right? If you can cut through
Correct,
it, do that.
correct,
Yeah,
correct. But
yeah.
and this is me talking out of experience, being that junior,
Mm,
project manager, project controller, we all have that tendency or that habit to try to shine when the light is upon you.
mm,
So, for example, if I were to give in a presentation or to be asked to give a presentation about a project schedule, a status, and I just asked ChatGPT to automatically do it for me, give me 5 slides on this project, and it'll give me those information. I insert into a PowerPoint and I present it.
mm.
Do you think, or what are your thoughts of that situation being in the ethical perspective? Is that considered cheating, or is that considered maybe on the right side of doing things?
I wouldn't immediately call it cheating. Again, I would want to know what information was put in. Um,
But you're
and when
not
I,
there. As a senior PM, you get other commitments, and it
mhm,
was an ad hoc type of request from your client, and
yeah.
you have your junior PM tasked to do that, and automatically they spit out some sort of presentation.
Mhm.
How do you feel about that?
I'm not shunning it first. Okay. So I'm really not. I am wanting to, my whole thing is what does the output look like? Does the output fall in line with where we are with the project? Um, I would want to set some boundaries with regards to, if you're going to do something like that, you want to make sure that it's de-identified enough that it doesn't identify like specific names or specific product that would be considered proprietary. I think you can
Mhm.
create something like that in the tool and make things super generic to get the meat of what you want. And then when you're putting it out for presentation, then you put in those specifics. And that's something that, in the age where we're in right now, where ChatGPT is so prevalent, I would be remiss if I didn't just bring that up to begin with and say that to the person or persons, so that we're clear, and not just say not say anything. And then if they're,
Mhm.
and then they produce something that maybe, while may have been appropriate, what they entered into the tool, they needed to pull back a little bit on that. Like, let's not put in exact names. Let's make it a little more agnostic, so you can get what the result, and then you can put the detail in. That's likely how I would handle that. And all this is new, right? So you're asking, these are
Right.
great questions. I appreciate these questions, because it's getting me to think about that. So I believe that's the route I would go.
Awesome. To me, and how I would tackle that situation is honestly, that's going to be it'll be a very sensitive situation for the junior PM to be in, because it takes away the thinking. And when you're put up there and on the spot on the podium and you're presenting all these facts by yourself and ChatGPT, as a junior PM, you're still growing within that project. So it takes away the complete thinking of the accurate product that you're producing,
Mm-hmm.
in my
It
opinion.
it can. It can. But again, in the scenario you gave, you're not there when they're creating it. So I think that's where we have to like head that off at the pass, if you will, and create some parameters around it and say, if you're going to do this, here's what I'd like to see, or how I would like to see this develop.
Mhm.
Because again, you know, you're not going to micromanage that person and be right there at their side or over their shoulder. So, but the tool is there. The tool is prevalent. The tool is there on your phone or on your computer. So yeah, it's
Yes.
like it's a conversation that you're going to have, and then talk about the development of that junior PM at the same time. I think you're going to have to
Right.
field, you're going to have those types of conversations as well. And that
Right.
takes a certain person to be able to do that, or to put mechanisms in place for that junior PM to grow
Right.
in the midst
So
of AI.
that's true. That's true. So let's turn the tables around. So you are tasked, you asked your project coordinator to give you a presentation. They do the process, they provide a presentation and they start presenting. How do you feel about seeing the presentation, knowing the fact that it's ChatGPT, produced by ChatGPT? However, your your project coordinator is not speaking the language. What I'm trying to say is
Mm,
ChatGPT is very accurate in wording. It's a great wordsmith. And if you're to present something, it's different. You don't talk like ChatGPT.
right.
We
You
all
don't.
don't. So there's we're gonna start to attack the product itself. We're gonna start to critique that product. Like, okay, dude, you've done this to ChatGPT. That's not how you speak. That's not how you write. What's the deal? How do you feel about situations like that?
Hmm. I would say that the person would have to be able to defend whatever they put in front of someone. That's number one. So if you put it out, I would expect you to be able to defend and speak to what you present. And I think that harkens back to what I said before about growing someone in that junior role beyond the tool.
Mhm.
And it's like anything else, it's kind of similar to if you go old school with using Cliff Notes to do a book
Right,
report, right? You use the Cliff Notes, but that's not you either. Can you defend it? You know,
right,
if you were asked to defend it, like some schools that you had to present on your book report, and it will
right.
become evident that you could not speak to the eloquent words that you put out there. So that's where the speech would have to match the tool. So again, that's growth. That's growth.
Yes,
You and I have been in here long enough that we could do that without a whole lot of problems. But I think there's another level of training and development that has to maybe birth out of where we are
right,
with ChatGPT and AI.
right.
Yeah.
And I believe the project management industry is not there yet.
I'd have to agree with you because this is all so new. And I think new developments are coming up as we embark upon this. Yeah.
Right, right. And even as you say that, how do you feel of talking to a human live avatar in meetings?
How would I feel about talking to an avatar in a meeting? Now that's different. I've never done that before. So I don't know how I'd feel.
That's also going to be up and coming, in the near
Absolutely.
future.
Yeah. Those are creatable right now. You can create those. I mean, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
I don't have a straight answer on that one. I'll tell you, because I don't know.
now, is that
Um,
considered ethically wrong or ethically right?
Again, I don't have an answer for that. I don't know. I mean, there's so much nuance to that. Like, I mean, in what industry? In what context? In what, you know? There's a lot
Right,
there. For one industry, maybe yes. For another industry, maybe no.
right. And
Yeah.
that's one thing about project management. Project management is to me, it's a people business, and I've heard
Hmm.
other project managers express that. So, as a people business, you are you're always exercising your thinking to know your stakeholders.
Hmm.
So, what if you completely know your stakeholders? personally, professionally, and you couldn't make a meeting, and you decided to make an avatar of yourself, and that avatar is fully automated, to the point where it answers, questions from stakeholders because you know those stakeholders.
Mm.
Is that on the side of being ethically wrong or the side of being right?
I don't have an answer for that. I really don't. Because I see the benefits of it, and we talk to avatars now on some level when we're on the phone.
Right,
It knows our voice, you know what I mean? But that takes it further where we haven't really touched yet. I mean, that's well underneath the surface at this point. But it's absolutely creatable.
right.
Yeah.
And it's very, very interesting to
Yeah.
discuss these things with you because
Yeah.
honestly, nobody talks about this in the project management space.
No. But I mean, we're it's either we're going to talk about it, in my opinion. We're either going to talk about it on our own, or it's going to be put in front of us to talk about.
Correct,
And where do we fall with that in a in a
correct,
in a space with project management that is absolutely a people business?
right. And even as a project manager, you're also faced with a lot of ethical challenges because you have the gender, ideologies out there that's, you know, being part of a current events. Aliens, for example, aliens are coming out to be more valid in many ways, from the government's perspective. We have to include all those perspective in many ways as a project manager because if a human is using the tool, how are you going to approach that person to either a conflict situation or giving some sort of praise, you
Mm,
know?
hmm hmm Wow. Yeah, that's a lot to consider. I think, gosh, I mean, the most that we can do, and this is my mindset, because you're asking questions that are super valid, and we're talking about a subject that is going to just become more and more prevalent as we move on. Um, we're going to have to make some decisions on how we operate in those things, or those entities that be will, set a parameter around all of these things that we will have to be confronted with, I think.
Mhm.
So I mean, I think it's kind of like, watch this space, right?
Right,
For
right.
more information and how that develops. So I appreciate that. And so as we, maybe you and I will come back and have this conversation again if a new development comes out that we maybe specifically talk about that. We can have this conversation again,
Mhm.
in the context of that one piece. That would be
Right,
interesting.
right. Do you think that AI is biased?
Do I think AI? Say that again.
Do you think AI is biased?
Oh, yes, I do. I think there is bias in AI. I do. And that again, that opens up a whole additional conversation that I would want to have in the context of maybe a specific article or piece. But yes, there is. I think there's this. Yes, I'll put a period at the end of that sentence and just say yes.
Awesome.
And then let the chat sound off about that if they choose to.
Awesome. Awesome.
All right. With that, I mean, Darl, thank you. This was great. I enjoyed this conversation thoroughly, honestly. As we move forward in technology, we have to move forward with it, in my opinion, and ask the questions and get into it and see how our lives are gonna be shaped by it. So thank you for um, being open to the conversation. Thank you for those that have watched to this point. Please put your comments in the chat, or any thoughts you might have about this conversation. And we will see you again at the next conversation.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Bye, guys. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.